Okay. Are we good now? Sorry, guys. Okay. So sorry, I'm 10 minutes late. It's because technology difficulties. I kind of forgot how to do this. And I missed a step that I did not know I was supposed to do. So hi everyone. Sorry about the rough start. I'm happy to be here though. And yeah, okay, cool. Hi, Lisa. How are you? Okay, so let's get started. Sorry that I'm late. Sorry that I don't understand technology too well. Let's get all this put down here so that I know what I'm doing here. So, well, I wanted to start doing more YouTube lives, so that's why I'm here right now. And this is relatively casual. I have, good morning, Katerina. Hi, LA. This is, going to be pretty casual. I have some things to show you, things to talk about, but I'm really excited to just be here and chat with you guys. So definitely hang out in the chat with me so I can see what you guys are up to. Again, sorry about being late. Technological difficulties. Technological? I don't know. So today I am talking about freelance work. And if you have been following me, then you probably know that freelance work is a really big part of my art income. I do license my work, but yeah, so I do license my work, but really freelance is such a big part of my income. It's more than 75%, or it is about 75% of my art income. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about behind the scenes, show you some things that have recently come out, and just sort of tell you a little bit more about how it works. And you guys are welcome to ask questions in the chat. Like I said, this is pretty casual live. I just wanted to talk about what's going on and just give you some information that you might not know about freelance work. So I have multiple freelance clients, but one of my largest freelance clients is a company that does gift wrap and gift bags and stationery products for like all the big box stores. So Walmart, Target, Dollar General, Dollar Spot or Dollar Tree, Aldi, Five Below, probably some other ones too, but those are the accounts that I have worked on in the past. So this is a really, really big company, and it has a lot of different design departments. And, different design departments have different art directors, and they do different accounts. So usually if I'm working with a certain art director, I'm working on a specific account. Like I know that I'm regularly working on pretty much the same accounts or a certain type of product. So I work with one art director that usually does all the like calendars and planners, and that sometimes is for Target, that's sometimes for Aldi, that's sometimes for the dollar stores. But I know I'm working on planners when I'm working with her, usually. And one art director that I work with a lot works with Five Below. And Five Below, if you don't have that store near you, is a pretty inexpensive store. Most like the idea of now I think they've changed it, but the idea behind the name is that everything is $5 or less. And it really caters to sort of the tween market. There's a lot of like juvenile stuff, a lot of like toys and like teen kind of like makeup and candy. There's tons of candy in the store and whatever. And so always for Five Below, we're doing, I'm doing stuff that's sort of supposed to be like very trendy. I would say Five Below is specifically quite trendy because it's for like the younger audience. And so a lot of the work that I do for my freelance client is Christmas work. It's throughout the year. And the thing about freelance is, now this is not true of every single thing, but a lot of times with freelance, you don't know if your work is going to make it into stores. I mean, that can be true of licensing too, if we're being honest, but you don't know if your work is going to make it into stores because you just create what they're asking you to create. They send me creative briefs. I design them. And then I don't really, sometimes I ask, sometimes they let me know just and say, hey, this planner made it into stores, you'll see it. Or sometimes I say, hey, like, how did that presentation go? But I create a lot of artwork for them. And a lot of stuff gets changed in-house and it gets moved around, and I don't really know what's going to happen. But since I know I do a lot of Christmas work, at Christmas time specifically, I kind of scout the stores to see what's out there that I recognize. I really can't keep up with it in all the other times. I wish, like, I make so many planners for Aldi, but you know how Aldi works is like they release products for 1 week in the Aldi Finds section. And like, I have an Aldi pretty close to me, but like, I just don't go there every week and you never know when it's going to be out. So like, honestly, I can't really keep up with Aldi and like what of my products might be in Aldi. But around Christmas time, I try to pay a little bit more attention. And so I just wanted to show you some stuff from previous years, and then also show you some stuff from this year. And I want to show you how it got changed and tell a little bit more about the freelancing process. So just to show you a couple things. This is a gift box that I found in an Aldi set, I think maybe last year, maybe the year before that. I do a lot of lettering for this client. They know I do fun lettering. And so I do they often ask me for lettering projects. So this is one thing that was in Aldi. Like I said, I have a hard time finding things in Aldi because I don't always go that often. This is a design that was in Five Below last year. This is a bag that was in maybe 2 years ago in like a 4-pack with other designs. And that's something I'm going to show you about in a minute. This was in Target for a couple of years in 2 different colors. They had the red, and then another year they had it in gray. And then this one was in Five Below last year as well. And then and last year I also did this metallic paper, which is really fun for Five Below. Oh, you did see that one at Five Below. That's awesome, Lisa. Love it. So this year I started looking through, and I looked through online, and then I went to the store, and the store and what's online isn't always lining up, but I wanted to show you some of the stuff that I saw, and I wanted to show you how my art started and then what happened to it. That sounds very ominous, but so one design that I saw that was mine is this metallic paper, really fun paper. I'll show you some of the samples I have, and then I'm going to show you some screen shares because I want to show you what the art started as. This was another one that I recognize. It says, okay, but first presents. This one, this gift bag, sparkle all the way. And then this is gift tags, but one of them is, the rest of this isn't my design. So this is something I'm going to talk about. But this is my design. So I want to share my screen really quick and show you some of the other things that I saw. There we go. All right. So this sparkle all the way bag that I just showed you right here, it started as wrapping paper. So they asked me for wrapping paper, and this is the design that I created for them. And then in-house, they must have presented it to Five Below, and Five Below maybe liked the lettering, but didn't need another wrapping paper, or maybe it didn't fit in a certain way, or maybe they liked the lettering so much they wanted to make it a bag or whatever. So then the in-house team turned it into this bag right here. So obviously things change, and And that's fine, you know, that is fine. That's what freelance is about. So I have no control over that, but I got paid for this work before. And I will tell you, I created a lot of, not a lot. I mean, I created probably 10 or 15 designs, maybe more, throughout the year. And what I showed you, 3 or 4 made it in. So it's like I got paid, but a lot of stuff didn't get in, but that's fine because I still got paid for it. So I wanted to show you the Okay But First Presents was a gift bag design originally. They asked me to do like a ribbon, like it looks like ribbon. And so I created this design based on their brief. And then they ended up making it into the wrapping paper, which I did buy. And then they also had it on this bag in like a set of bags, which I didn't see in stores. But this is, as you can see, it's like light blue, you know, it changed. The lettering itself, they kept the same, and they put this in to repeat themselves in-house. So that's a big difference from what it started with. But you know, that's, again, it's like this was something that I created and I got paid for it. And as we saw, as I showed you, it also ended up on, so it ended up on 3 products, right? As one little gift tag. The rest of this art on here is not my art. It's from other different artists. They mixed and matched. But this one is my art. And then, you know, it was in a set of gift bags and a set of wrapping paper, all of which was also not my art. And that's okay with me. You know what I mean? Like I designed it and I'm glad that it got used multiple times. Again, there's a lot of art that didn't get used multiple times. This was the original design for the metallic wrap, which pretty much came out as is. And what I wanted to say about this one is that this I created for Christmas trends. And it wasn't specifically for Five Below. The way that this company works that I freelance for is because they have so many retail partners, they create, they say what they think the trends are, right? They do the trend research, they create art around trends. And this one, you know, was some, I forget what the trend was called exactly, but it was some sort of bright, fun trend, basically. And I created this art. And then in the end, it was a trend that Five Below liked, and they saw some art that they liked. And so they pulled it into their store. But sometimes it gets pulled into other stores. That's how some of the stuff, you know, I created for some of the, that one that I have. Ugh. This one, I wasn't working with the Target art director. I was just doing, I was working with another art director who was building out a trend. And again, this was like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't really remember what the trend specifically was, but I was creating art around that trend, and then Target liked it and pulled it into their line. So this one was kind of not specifically for Five Below, but it ended up at Five Below. And then the last one I wanted to show you, I didn't see it in stores, but I wanted to show you because it made a big change, and I wanted to talk about that. So this was the original bag that I designed: eat cookies and be kind. That's these phrases. They give me these phrases with the creative brief. You know, they say what the phrase is going to be usually, and they say, oh, I want it handwritten, or I want it to be really kind of fun and bouncy, or I want whatever. And they'll say, you know, potentially with cookies scattered about or something like that. And you can see on this photo, there is cookies on the gusset, which I designed as well. I just don't have the art up here right now. But so I created this, and as you can tell, they went with it, except for they changed the colors and the whole sentiment, and they never came back to me to change this. So you can see this negativity. Maybe this was a font, maybe this was another artist. This exhale I have a little problem with because their dot game is a little weird. You you see how I did this like line and then dots, but they got kind of wild on how they executed that in this. They have like one E that has a random dot and one that doesn't, but that's fine. I mean, whatever, right? And I actually had created some art that had this phrase. They asked me to create some other art that said inhale cookies and exhale negativity. And it was in a different style. And I guess they must have, you know, when they presented this and the other one I did, they must have said, I really like this style, but I rather have a different phrase. That's what Five Below must have said. So this is a really big change, but again, that was done by the in-house group, and that's just something that you can expect when you're working freelance. Now, certain, you know, different companies work different ways, and I want to check in on the comments here. I haven't been looking at the. I'm going to answer your questions, guide. And also, if you have other questions about freelance, go ahead and pop them in. But different companies work different ways, right? So this is how this company works. They do have an in-house team that can make adjustments and things like that. Some companies might come back to you and say, hey, you know, the presentation went well, but they want us to do it different. And then they might pay me to do more work and change that phrase and do the things that all the changes that you saw. You know, so there's different ways that companies work and different staff, you know, that they might have. So how does the change affect payment? Great question, LG. So in this case, for this company, it doesn't. You know, I made that art and then I never saw it again for like a year. I designed this like a year ago, and they just did what they did, and they paid me for that art, right? And then they did what they did, and it showed up in a different way in the stores, and that's fine. That is the difference between like freelancing and licensing, because licensing, you often in your contract would have something where you get to give approval of any changes. It wouldn't necessarily change the payment. But if you were going to make the changes, like if they came to me to make those changes, then obviously I would be charging them more for that work. Will they send the finished product to you most of the time? So for freelance, I have different clients who do things different ways. And I have some clients who I work for one stamped company, and they always send me the finished product, which is really wonderful. But usually for freelance, you don't get samples. It really depends, to be honest, because I've had freelance clients who have sent me, like, I had a dinnerware client who sent me a whole set of like high-end dishes, which was really nice. But it depends on what your contract states. But often for freelancing, you're not going to get samples. Truly, even for licensing, samples can be hard to come by, even though it says it in your contract. But I just went to Five Below. I mean, these were all like $2. So I purchased them because I like to have the record of what I've done. And I also like to wrap my Christmas presents in my own wrapping paper. So that is a lot of fun. So that is kind of how I work with my freelance people. Does anyone have any questions? Pop in the chat if you have any questions about how freelancing works. I'm excited to use this metallic paper. This is a lot of fun. And this looks kind of cute too. I mean, you know, it's a little more traditional, but it's kind of cute. It's reversible too, so that's fun. Do a little mix and match. Yeah, and so I will be keeping an eye out, trying to keep an eye out at Aldi, because I have done so many planners, and you know, the end of the year, often they're selling planners and stuff like that. But like I said, Aldi's kind of hard because, you know, they've got those Aldi finds and they come and go really quickly, and they don't have like a website that will always show it. You never really know. So Lisa asks, can you share the pay scales per project, flat rate? So for this particular client, I actually charge hourly, and I don't necessarily always people have issues with charging hourly because there is a certain, if you work quickly, which I do, there, you kind of can be sort of penalized, right? Because, someone who is a beginner who charges $30 an hour, for example, and it takes her 5 hours to do something, is getting paid whatever, $150. If I charge $50 an hour or even $100 an hour, but it only takes me an hour and a half, then I'm getting the same amount of payment, which isn't really fair, right? Because I'm more or even less in potentially, right? So charging hourly isn't ideal, but a lot of times for freelance clients, I have to be flexible. And this is the way this company works. And I will go with hourly. And often when I'm billing, I sort of mix the two ideas of how long it actually took me and my hourly rate, but also what I actually accomplished, right? So if I design 5 gift bags in a relatively short time, and I designed them all from scratch and they're all hand lettered, I do take that into consideration when I'm invoicing. And so, to try to sort of balance out how much time it takes versus how much value I'm providing. Do you prefer freelance over licensing? Well, to tell the truth, I make the most money from freelance. So for that reason, I'm a fan. But I would say that I just really like the idea of balancing both of them, because sometimes I want someone to tell me what to do and give me my money, which is what happens with freelance. I get to design something and then they take it and do whatever they want to do with it. That's cool. It's not my problem anymore. I got paid. We're good. And that can be wonderful. And then sometimes it's really nice to have done something once and have it get licensed multiple times, or get to do anything that I want to do and do like the colors I want to do and do anything I want to do, and know that it's mostly going to, not that licensors, like licensing partners don't make changes, because they do. And the more that you work with the partners, the more they might be it becomes more of almost like a freelance relationship, because there might be a lot more back and forth between like what they want and what you want and all that stuff. But I like the aspect of being able to do whatever I want to do, and have some sort of more things that are reflective of my style and what I enjoy. So I really do like the balance of the two of them. Did you design your background? No, I wish I did. It's a shower curtain from Target from a long time ago. I have been thinking about going on Spoonflower and printing some of them. I have tons of fabric, but my fabric's all printed very small. So like I've hung up my fabric before and it's just these tiny, tiny little things, and it looks very, very busy. Whereas I like that this is super large scale. So I don't really have any large scale fabric. I need to get some printed potentially. Sabrina S says, does your agent find most of your clients, or do you still search for them as well? So for my freelance work, I find all my clients, or they reach out to me. For my licensing work, my agent finds them for the most part. Sometimes people reach out to me and they want to license my work, and I kind of forward them to my agent. But for my freelance work, that is something that I still sort of am totally in charge of, because of the way my agent works. Different agents work different ways. Some agents will find you freelance work or commission. They would call it probably commissioned work, or buyout work or whatever. But my agent mostly works with royalties and licensing only. So the stuff that I do for flat fees on commission is all my own deal. Laura asks, do they expect you to submit production ready files? I was asked to design for a foil substrate and make sure to account for opaque white. I'm not sure what that even means. Good question. It depends on, yes, sometimes no, it depends. Like, so for some things, it's just like for presentation, and they just want it to look good for presentation. But then when it moves forward, especially with these planners, when it moves forward, Sometimes it's like, certain things need to be production ready. But they do have an in-house team that does some of the really technical production stuff. So, it just depends on the client, but some clients are really small and they don't have that team. So I create production ready files. As far as account for opaque white, I would say, I don't know for sure, that has not specifically come up, but my first thought would be make sure you have a white position, rather than sometimes people, like, because an artboard can be white, they might just leave it blank and it's actually transparent, but like your artboard in Illustrator or something might be white. So just like making sure you actually use the color white and have a fill that's white. That would be my guess, but you can always just ask. It's okay to ask. They just say, just to be sure, just to clarify, I wanted to make sure that this is the correct thing, blah, blah, blah. And it's always okay to ask, because every client is different. Like, I've been doing this for however long, and I do all these foil papers and I don't really even know the answer to that. So I would ask, and that's fine. When you have edits, how do you know when to say enough and ask for more money? So at this point, so some of my clients are hourly. So if they're hourly, it just is more money because I'm taking more time to do it, right? So that's easy. Now, if I have flat fees, I used to just say, like, here's my flat fee and not talk about revisions, even though I know in other industries, people are very specific about revisions. I used to not do that, but there's always someone who ruins that. I had a client who, it was a really relatively simple print, and I agreed to do it for, a relatively inexpensive price, whatever. I mean, it was a fine price, but I was like, oh, this is going to take me like 2 seconds. So I was thinking about that a little bit as I quoted them a price. And then they were like so wildly nitpicky, like really, really overboard. So now in my contracts, I say like 1 set of sketches and 2 revisions, or depending on different clients, I might say different things, but 2 rounds of revisions. And after that, I will charge you hourly my studio rate of whatever I feel like charging. Sometimes I say 75, sometimes I say 100. It doesn't usually get to that, right? Because they know, okay, we've got 2, we're just gonna, I have to go pick up my daughter. Looking forward to the replay. Bye, Laura. For a freelance client, they own the artwork outright then, correct? Yes, most of the time. It's going to depend on your contract. There are different, situations where that's not true, but I would say most of the time, yes, they're going to own your artwork outright. I do have clients where, it's not, they commission me and then they own it for that certain product and stuff like that. But for the most part, you would expect that then they own it outright, which is exactly why then I did it. And then they made it into both wrapping paper, a gift bag, and a, sticker. And because they get to do whatever they want. It could have been all over everything, even more than it was. And I still, charged the same amount because it was just me creating it at that time. So that's kind of the, the gamble with freelance is that, like I said, I designed probably 10 or 12 designs and only 2 or 3, 4 maybe got in. Maybe more than 10 or 12, because if I count the ones that I did for like the trends, that was, I probably designed like 20 designs and 4 got in. So they paid for all that artwork. Now, some of that artwork might show up next year. It's possible. I've seen things that I've done like come a year later because it didn't make it, they didn't want it at that time, the retailers, but then they did choose it later. So that's possible. It might not go like fully to waste, quote unquote, but they paid me for all that art for 20 designs and only 4 went into stores that they only ended up using 4. So kind of that, in that way, if you want to look really specifically, like they kind of lost on that one. But there are situations when I might design one design and it could go into 10 stores, not 10 stores, 10 products in a store. And then, they were able to use that art over and over and over again. And then I sort of quote unquote lost in that, right? You would think like, oh, she should be getting paid more if it's on like everything in the store, right? So it's really a gamble with freelance. You're taking that option, but I just know, I mean, there's just so much art that doesn't go to, again, it depends on the client. This client is a large client that works with a lot of retailers. So they create a ton of art that doesn't go anywhere. If you have a smaller client or a certain relationship where you're like the main freelancer, that might not happen. It might be everything you do goes into store because they come back to you to make sure that the retailer likes what they create and all that stuff. So every situation can be different. For the freelance client, okay. Does your agent get a cut from your freelance work? No, she doesn't. So because this is work that I find myself and people come to me myself, and because she concentrates on licensing and royalties, the freelance work is all mine, which may be why I make more of my money from there. I still would, even if my agent did take a cut or whatever, I would still make more from freelancing. That's just the bulk of my work. But no, she doesn't take a cut. So that does make it more lucrative for me. All right. Does anyone else have any questions? It was great to chat with you guys, even if we got a late start due to my my not understanding how to connect Zoom and YouTube. I'm so glad to see you. Do you guys like a live format? I just like to be able to show things and hold things up. Like I said, this is pretty low key, but it's just, you know, sometimes I like to connect with you. I used to do Instagram lives, but I'm kind of over Instagram. So, and plus now people can watch this on the replay. All right. So Lisa says, how do you feel about the volume and timelines? Are they reasonable overall, or do you feel an intense hustle about it? Good question. Really good question. So I'd say it can be it just depends, which is like the answer for everything, right? But the thing is, like I'd say lately, like I haven't had as much work, and I also put up more boundaries around my work. So when they need a quick turnover, I might say no to it just because I don't want to do a quick turnover anymore. But back in the day, I would have said yes to that because I wanted the work, I needed the work, I was excited about the work, whatever. So, but yeah, it does depend on the company, but a lot of companies do need these really quick turnovers because they're doing these meetings, and that's why they're going to freelancers, right? Even if they have in-house people, it's like, we have so much work, we have this extra work, we need to get it done. So deadlines can be relatively tight. And you know, whether that works for you and your schedule or not, that is something that, you know, you kind of have to decide and experiment with. You can agree to a couple projects and put in the extra work and like do late nights or whatever, and see how you feel about that and if that was worth it to you or if it wasn't. Not every company needs that. Now I have some freelance clients who, you know, they schedule things way out and it's just a steady stream of just me working at my own pace, and it's never a big like, oh no, I need to do this afternoon. It's just, I just kind of slot it in when I have extra time, and it works out great. And some are like, hey, would you be able to do this by the end of the week? And I'm like, well, it's Wednesday at noon, so let me check my schedule, right? So it just depends. Thank you so much for sharing. Awesome. Would you mind showing a few more examples of products if you have them handy? Let's see. I have a couple here. This is a card that I did for Aldi. This is like this is a greeting card I did for Aldi. Let me see if I can get in here to a couple. Here's my these were some, they're kind of cut up now, but these are like planner stickers. And this was for Aldi as well. And so these are these little like extra like places that you can write in your planners if you have these stickers. I don't actually use like paper planners in this way. But this is so, and like, you know, I drew all this stuff, and then these are fonts, but they're just, you know, how I put things together. This was like a little sticker pad. Like I said, I kind of cut these things up for different purposes. And this is more sort of planner. These are like planner pages you can stick in. They're like white erase ones. And this is like, these are like folders that you stick onto your planner. This was a whole like planner section. Again, I do so much stuff for Aldi and I never get to see it because I'm just not that good at going to Aldi that often. These are these little stickers. This was all I did. It was 3 different groups, 3 different like themes, and it had stickers and whiteboards and all that kind of stuff. I'm just trying to see what else was freelance, because I do have more samples, of course, but they're mostly licensing. So that might be it for. This was another Christmas bag from, I think this was in Five Below 2 years ago. So Joanna asked, do you have trouble recognizing your own work since it's a long time? Yes, I do. Before I go in, I like look through my files and try to see, because some of it's like, I mean, how many different, like those snow, like, I mean, how do you think I recognize this? The only thing that's kind of significant about it is it has this like transparent, I made it looking like kind of transparent. So where things overlap, it's like a darker red, but this is just a snowflake that everyone could draw. So yes, I 100% have to like look at my files to see and figure out and like, oh, this is mine. Or sometimes it jogs my memory. Like I did see this in the store and I hadn't, because it wasn't in my Five Below file. Like I said, it was like sort of in Christmas trends. I hadn't looked at it since I designed it, but I just saw it and I was like, this sparks my memory. I think I did this one. So I bought it anyways, because it's cute no matter what. So yeah, I definitely do forget. And some of it comes and goes so quickly that I'm like, I don't even, yeah. Let's see. What do you find home-based, what do you do to find home-based work-life balance? I ask because I'm working on this right now. Having done this for a while, I just am over it. I mean, I'm just all about the easy life these days. So like if I've been trying to figure out like how to actively rest, how to take time, how to just like stop. Like after this, I'll probably take a long lunch break because there's always more to do. But like I just went live and did this whole little chat and had fun. So I can take a break. Like it's something that I work on, and it's something that I've worked on. Like I work with a business coach and she is all about like sustainable businesses, not like the hustle kind of thing. So sort of going through her program has helped me. This is Brooke Monahan. She's really awesome. And just, you know, kind of, I have a friend who said when you turn 40, you know, like the best thing about turning 40 is like you have no more F's to give. And I think that's true, you know, like now I turned 40 last year, but it's just like, you know, I was in hustle mode for a long time and I'm just ready to chill. So, I mean, so I make the balance because I'm like, okay, I'm going to just chill out. I've worked really hard and it's okay if and like also working hard has gotten me places, but it hasn't gotten me like everything ever. So it's not like it's proving itself to be the most successful thing ever. So, I'm at Aldi all the time and recognize some of these pieces. Oh, that's awesome. I know I have a friend who goes to Aldi, like she shops at Aldi like every week. And she's like, if you just tell me and I can take a look for you. And I'm like, but I really don't know. Like, that's the thing. You really never quite know. So I can't just send her like 400 designs and say like, okay, now look through every 5-pack of cards. Like this one, this gift box was in like a set of like 4 gift boxes. So I like take the time to like look through. It's like 3 of the designs were not my design. This one was my design. So I, was into it. So that's the thing. I wish I knew, but it's a little bit. Yeah. Do you use a Wacom, iPad, tablet, or mouse and desktop? I do use a Wacom and I use an iPad. So I use the iPad for like sketching and when I want to get away from my computer. And if I'm doing stuff that is, I'm just looking around to see, more textured, I might do it on the iPad because then I can do, like roster things, or I do the sketches and then I bring it into Illustrator and then do it. Sorry, I might do it on the iPad and then I bring it into Illustrator and do it on the Wacom. What do you recommend to someone starting out? I was told to build a library of assets in AI or AD first and then use them to build patterns instead of doing it all at once each time. How do you do it? I do not do it that way. I think I build when I'm building a pattern, I do draw the assets first and then put them into repeat. But I wouldn't just be like making a million different design like assets or motifs and then say, which ones could go together for a pattern. I would be thinking very deliberately, which brings me to some of my things that I forgot to talk about is I have a bunch of Black Friday deals going on that started yesterday and they go till the end of the month. So actually, Julia, if you could put the link in for all of the Black Friday deals, one of my courses is called Successful Licensing Collections, and it's all about basically how I create my artwork, my whole process, and how you can make more marketable artwork by picking themes and trends that are happening in the market, by doing some research and all that kind of stuff. And right now, the Black Friday deal for that is if you buy that class, you get my Adobe Bridge class free, which is really fun. If you're interested in starting your surface pattern business and figuring out how to find clients, how to pitch to clients, how to get yourself ready to pitch to clients. I have a course called Start Your Surface Pattern Business, and that is on special because if you purchase it in the next 2 weeks, you get a free one-on-one session where we can either look at your portfolio, we can do look at your website, we can do any kind of like one-on-one coaching that you need. That comes free with the course for the next until November 30th. And then my newest thing is my quick pitch kit, which is really fun. It is inexpensive. Well, it's inexpensive now. I don't know we're going to see. It's got an introductory price. And it basically sets you up to send your pitches, email pitches to clients. So this client that I have mostly been talking about this whole time, that I've designed 90, I guess all of the stuff I showed you, because this is all from this one client. I have stamps and stuff in the back that are from a different client, and I have other stuff from other ones. But all this client, I just looked at this because I was thinking about it. I reached out to the art director via an email, and all I did was send this email and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. Here's my artwork. And she wrote back and was interested, and we set up a meeting, and then, she sent my work around, and then all the different art directors started reaching out to me because my work was a good fit. And this quick pitch kit basically it doesn't tell you where to find the art directors. That I go into more deeply in Start Your Surface Pattern Business. But if you do have people that you're looking to reach out to, and you do have that information, this is like how to write those emails and how to, format your art in the best way to make it really easy to send through and make sure you have all these details. It's, I have like a checklist, a guide, some templates, and also I walk you through it all in a video and give you all these like tips to sort of optimize. So I love that new product. I'm super excited about it. Slower expectations. Yeah, no 50s. My field of F's is bigger. I love that. Yeah, so that is exciting. Have you shared how much your income is from licensing and design courses? I just heard Bonnie made 4.5 million this year, but I believe from her course. Oh, God bless Bonnie Christine. That is I do not make that much money, nowhere near it. From license, I don't know what every year I release, my kind of my income basically. And I do it in January. So, the year isn't over yet. But last year, you can, on my blog, I have this information. But last year, I think I made about 55% of my income from courses and 45% of my income from art and licensing and freelance, and so then 55%. And I think I made like 130, maybe $130,000. So yeah, 4.5 million is not really where I'm at. But we have fun anyways. Lisa has worked with me and she took her courses, so I appreciate that testimonial, Lisa. How to prep files for a client, that part makes me nervous. No, I don't cover that in that part. Basically, because there's almost no, I cover how to put it into a sales sheet so that you can show it off to clients, but not like for final art, like files, if they were like purchasing it from you or if they were commissioning you or something like that. I don't talk about that, but part of that is because there isn't really a standard way, many clients are different. So don't be afraid to ask when you are working with a client, can you give me an example of a file that you've received so that I can set it up in the same way? Or do you have a certain template of what you like? Every client really is different. So don't be shy. Feel free to ask them. Oh, great. And in the chat, Julia has not only put the, links for my Black Friday specials and my pitch kit, but also for my last year's blog income. And I'm already, next year, in January, I'll probably do something very similar. So you can hear all about that. It's not going to be 4.5 million. I'm just, I think I'm going to make it over 100,000 this year, not for courses, just for my entire income. All right, friends, anything else? Yeah, and then taxes. Exactly. Everything I'm talking about, when I said last year I made $130,000 approximately, like that's before taxes, that's, whatever. So everything is all with a grain of salt and expenses. This now with a course business, that's the thing. Expenses are a lot different. When I was just doing art, my expenses were relatively low. Once I started doing like content and courses, it's just like all these different subscriptions. And I also am so lucky to have help from Julia, who's here. And, I have different contractors that I work with for some of my things. So my expenses have really, really shot up. So, doing art has a lot less business expenses than doing, kind of the courses thing. So, all right, friends, thank you so much for joining me. If I decide to do this again sometime, I would hope that you will join me. And thanks for everyone who might be watching on the replay later today and later this week. So glad to have been here with you guys and get to share some of my work. So thank you so much.